This is like a very important and a very personal space to me to even conduct. So let's begin. The lead number one you have in this space. You guys are not seeing the black boxes, right? Are you able to see?
It's fine. It's fine. It's perfect.
Amazing. All right. Nice. So I officially welcome you to this session. The first lead you have in this conference, which is about self-awareness. Basically, I'm going to focus on the idea of like the sub-element over here is personal values. Knows and discovers and develops personal values around it. So the self-awareness aspect. Why this session is very important and very like when I was designing the agenda, I had to put this session because I remember this session in my MCP summit back in 2018. I remember, of course, it was my first and only MCP summit I ever attended. It was in the Philippines. And in ADB headquarters. Like Philippines was hosting that year the RPM. And I remember Abdo, that time's PEI, taking like the lead session for us on day 2 of our RPM. And that session, like if I can put like hands down, that session was one of the most inspiring and one of the best sessions I ever attended in my essay journey. And then that really made me think, reflect, and that helped me a lot in transitioning from who I was, which was as an MCVP, to the MCP. That session particularly prepared me a lot. So whenever I got an opportunity to like put the session in the agenda and also design it myself, I thought like I could deliver. So without further ado, let me begin the session. My name is Prayog. I will be facilitating this session. Thank you, Arfan, for following me on Instagram. I got your request in the morning. For the rest of you, I am watching you. This is one of my personal goals. So to begin with, what you may take back from this session is a bit more clarity on who am I, like about yourself, not who am I as a player, then who am I as a Snehi, who am I as a Arfan, and so on. A bit more clarity on what kind of MCP I want to be. Take the first steps towards creating an identity as an MCP. Overall, a bit more self-aware. Like this is what I would claim by the end of the session that you will get. This identity is something which is extremely important. This is what we can talk to who am I, because like we all have different identities. Like say, for example, Banuka as a son is a very different than Banuka as an MCP, or Banuka is very different than as a friend. So as an MCP, as you're stepping up in this role, you need to discover what is the identity as an MCP. And that's why this particular session, that's why this particular space for self-awareness. All right. But in order for you to take this back, there are some expectations I have for you. Is firstly, you should be willing to participate. Like if you don't pay enough attention or if you don't reciprocate the kind of things we're going to discuss with honesty and vulnerability, you won't have that, you won't have this output which I'm promising. Second thing, be here and now completely. I know this is a virtual space. We all would have loved to be a physical space, but then it's easy to get distracted with the phone, other work, notifications and everything. But I urge you to put down everything for the next 1.5 hours. If you're willing to participate, be completely here and be completely now in this moment. Okay. Third, take ownership towards the output of this space, because I won't be able to sense sitting here in Mumbai and I hope how this session is delivered to you in terms of the output itself. So take complete ownership of the space and the things we're going to discuss here today. And please journal this space. Like, I can't say enough of this. I recommend if you have a pen and paper, I'm a bit of a traditional person. If you have a pen and paper, that would be really nice. If you don't, then I will give you 10 seconds to grab it from nearest desk. It's best if you have like an A4 blank sheet paper. If not, the notebook page is also fine. In addition, we also have the MCP journal for you. So if you, whatever mode of digital note taking you prefer, I ask you to do it, but then I will prefer the pen and paper. So journal in this space because the output is for you. All right, with that said, let's begin. A disclaimer, this is not another lead space. So by default, whatever expectations you have about like a traditional league space, okay, this is going to be inspirational, this is going to be, we will cry and all these things. Like people have different expectations about league sessions. Okay, this is one thing I have understood. Like some say lead has a full form of learn, engage, activate, develop. Some say lead is just like a spaces where we align our values about leadership and blah blah. So whatever traditional things you have in your mind about lead spaces, just keep it aside for this session. This is not just another lead session, but it could be a very transformative space where you acknowledge and awaken the inner genius within you. This is like a bold statement, I know. Right. Okay. Like we all have inner genius within us. This is something first you need to understand and acknowledge, and then awaken this inner genius in you for the role which lies ahead of you. So this is one of my famous quote by Robin Sharma. I don't know if you follow this author. Has anyone read his books? Robin Sharma? Just raise your hand if you've read his books. He's like a very famous author, management guru, leadership training coach. He's probably the #1 booksellers and stuff. Yeah, you should follow him. Like his 5 a.m. club and like a lot of book leadership from the journey. Who will live and who will cry and die. The mass, the leadership master. There's a lot of books. The family wisdom. Like a lot of books are very interesting. They talk a lot about leadership, and yeah, you can just Google him, Robin Sharma. He's a very powerful and influential author. He says in his latest book, 5 a.m. Club, which is, he has the statement which really struck me, that you're born into genius, but have you resigned yourself to mediocrity? Like this one question has like made me reflect a lot, that every point in time, whichever actions I do, or whenever I wake up and whenever I enter my day, I ask myself these questions. What am I doing today to awaken the inner genius within me? Like certain self-affirmations and everything. But then this question really reminds me of not to be mediocre and basically work alongside with your inner genius. So yeah, this session will help you do that. That's right, it's a self-awareness session. So are you with me? Let's ready. Let's begin. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you're with me, if you can hear me. I got a couple of people saying my voice is a little bit lower. So if it is okay now, then we are good to go. Okay, got a thumbs up. So today, as I mentioned, the agenda is all about own the present, right? So the first statement in own the present is I take full ownership of what happened in the past and what brought us where we are today. So acknowledging the past, and the most important line here is what brought us here today for where we are. Like we need to own that. So let's start our space with that. So the part 1 of this space is going to be acknowledging how you got here. There's going to be a very familiar activity about the river flow diagram or a chart which you do, which is the simplest and the best activity I find in order to do this, in acknowledging how you got here. So let's do this. The first part of the activity is a bit of a reflection space. So let's reflect and draw a river flow diagram. So those of you who don't know, a river flow diagram is basically like, or your chart. So the activity is to draw a river flow diagram of your ISEC experience and mention all key highlights. What were the cliffs? What were the canyons? What were the caves? How has been your ISEC journey so far? I'm going to give you 2 reflective songs yeah, 7 minutes to finish it off. So I recommend you draw it on a pen, piece and paper, and then I'm going to ask you to share it. So this is the first activity. Are you guys ready with me? I'm going to play this, one of my favorite piano pieces called Find Time's Up. You are done with that so far. Okay. All right. So the next step of the activity is take a picture of your river flow diagram, take a picture of the chart of how have you reached to this journey so far. How was your ISA experience so far in this journey with the highlights, and put it in the MCP journal, slide number 7. So this, let me share as well. You can just, if you already made a copy of this MCP journal in your own drive or wherever you have, then just copy paste this slide also in your MCP journal. This is the slide. This is how it looks like. How has been my asset journey so far? Take a picture of it and put your picture here. For this working booklet, you should have your own copy and just copy paste the slide in your journal and put a picture. Then I will put you into a breakout room with a random buddy from the MCP and share with how has been your exit journey, acknowledge how have you become the MCP and how has been your journey so far in your exit experience. So we'll put you in the breakout with a buddy. It will be 2 minutes to put it in your exit journal as well. Breakouts.
Prayog, how many breakouts do you need?
Because I've created it already. No worries. So the breakout rooms is ready. Once you've put it, share it with each other. And yeah, all of you have shared answers. I'll put you into 7 minutes of breakout. So 3 minutes each. Breakouts of 2. Opening the breakout rooms right now.
I think we'll have to shift some people, no?
Then you can choose the breakout number 5.
And Prayog, are you recording the whole session or is it me who's doing it? Because I don't remember starting the recording.
Sorry, Praya, can you put me somewhere?
Any inspiring stories you heard? Anything worth from your buddy you want to share? You can share about yourself as well, or you can share it about your buddy as well. Like I'll take 2 people max. Who wants
Okay, I'll go.
Go back.
Yeah, so I was with Ali. So like when it comes to our journeys, it's like start from the beginning and then to MCP. But the most interesting part that I've heard was that Ali told that the best experience that she had so far was the steering team experience. So that was so refreshing, and the things that she have learned. So she told me on those things. So that was really nice. I learned a lot on that aspect.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that, Bhanuka and Ellie. You want to tag the next person? Or whoever wants to go. Who wants to go next? We haven't heard from who today. Go ahead. You want to share?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So yeah, I was in a breakout room with like Lermin. Sorry, I mean I was like really quiet today because like my internet is super big a bitch lah. So in a sense, yeah, okay. So I was in with Lermin, and then like Lermin, in contrasting to me, like she has been in this organization since like 2016. So it was quite refreshing. And then like I also got to know about like Malaysia's MC director role that she was like kind of doing. So I think those parts were interesting. But to me, what stood out most about like Lermin's experience was that she had a lot of hesitations along the way, but like she continuously motivated herself to like kind of take up the role. So and I think that's really quite I would say empowering on her end. So like I think it's quite testament to Isaac's like the whole leadership arc that we are kind of promoting to youth as well. So I would say Lermin's kind of like a testament for that as well. So yeah, good job, Lermin. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that with me as well. Yeah, I mean, you look around this classroom, there are a lot of inspiring stories here, like people who have invested 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years of their life into this organization, making it beautiful, to just to realize this dream of becoming an MCP and taking this dream forward to enable leadership in their country for the young people, not just for this generation, but for the generations to come. So there are a lot of inspiring stories around in this room. So this room is going to be like a source of inspiration throughout your term. I wanted to acknowledge that like you all have had some inspiring journeys throughout your IC journey, and now you're stepping on to an even bigger role, even more influential role, where you're going to inspire more people around you. So just be mindful of that. Just be aware of how you've reached this position and how you've reached so far. So I hope you've taken a picture and put it in the journal as well. That is for you to keep with you. And it's important to reflect and have these mementos or these pictures with you. This really helps when you reflect back later as well. So the next part of this activity is going to be one of the interesting ones. Let's take a brain dump. This is the second part of the activity. All right. This is going to be some hard questions. This is not like a regular morning down with the brain. So the next part, what I'm going to ask you to do is to see, to acknowledge, to jot down, to write down, to share, to discover, to bring it to surface the flaws you see in yourself as an icicle. Of course, you have all had like an inspiring and interesting icicle journey. I have no doubt about that. But then still going through this journey, you yourself know or you yourself see some part of your ISIC journey or some spaces or some things which you see that you're missing out or you see them as a flaws in your ISIC journey or as an ISICer, as an individual. So the next part is about reflecting on those and answering some tough questions. Because this is a self-awareness lead. This involves self-awareness, involves deep personal honesty and vulnerability. It comes from asking and answering some hard questions. This is one of my another favorite authors, Stephen Covey. I don't know if you've read his books, 7 Habits, very influential author again. If you've ever used the time and efforts 2x2 metrics, this is the guy who invented it. Like prioritize, deprioritize. Like this, he's a very influential author. 7 Habits. He has a lot of books as well. 8 Habits, 7 Habits. Yeah, I can just recommend to read his management and leadership books. His another favorite book is talks about self-awareness, because the next part is not going to be easy questions. It may sound easy, but then that self-discovery is maybe painful for some of you. Maybe it will jog some memories. Maybe it will be not as easy to answer, but I want you to trust the process and go with it. Are you guys with me? Give me a thumbs up if you are. All right. 3 questions I want to ask you, and I will give you 10 minutes. What about 3 songs for this? According to you, jot down everything which stops me from thinking differently, everything which stops me from connecting to different people or different type of thoughts, and last but not the least, everything which stops me from acting fast or taking risks. These are the 3 questions I wanted to answer. Let me take a quick screenshot as well and then put it in the MCQ chat. And I'll give you 3 songs to answer these questions. Okay. 10 minutes. Can someone take a screenshot and put it in the MCQ chat? Help me with this. Okay. Cool. And then there are 2 more questions, and that's the part of the activity. All right. I'm going to start the timer now. Let me put you into breakout rooms once again for 7 minutes. All right, I see most of you are back. I'm not going to ask you to share right now because what you wrote down, what you mentioned is extremely personal, and I don't want it to be shared to the whole plenary. But still, I'm going to pause for 30 seconds and check if somebody feels comfortable to share, if they feel it's fine. If they're comfortable and vulnerable enough to share, then feel free to do so. But I'm not going to proactively ask you to share. So I'll just wait here for 30 seconds. Right, Ellie? You want to share?
Hi. I just wanted to share two particular things from the group that I was with. And I think it's things that I really admire from them. The hand is in my face. Okay. I think it was cool hearing the answers. Like, let's say one of the things earlier is like, what's the thing stopping in terms of risk? Like, of course, there's a kind of human aspect where you're really scared of maybe not making the right decision or having the best decision. But I think it was really cool when Elva said it's like there's nothing stopping her because she really knows what she wants to accomplish. She understands the urgency of everything and like so much respect for that. And the other aspect, which I felt it was cool to connect with Banuka on, is on the question of everything about myself that I haven't forgiven. Like we couldn't think of anything. And I think through the experience and me personally, I really also matured throughout Isaac, and I've grown to this point where sort of like no regrets basically. And even if mistakes happen, they're just a part of the process. So yeah, heart for my group.
Sharing.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to move on to the next part next to the second last part of this activity, and then we'll speak, which is very difficult. Okay, the part where most of us are stuck with, most of us try a lot of times but get stuck with, is the part of letting go of the flaws, what inhibits you from being your best version. If you remember in the beginning of the presentation, I mentioned that we will work on unleashing the creative genius within you, right? And awaken and the genius within you, put it in touch with it. This space may find me very difficult, but this is extremely important for you to rewrite your story, to have like a new beginnings for you, for the new term you're about to start, all right? Because your life is about to change. Take it from someone who has completed an MCP term and coached more than 50 MCPs over 2 years. Take it from me onwards, your life is going to change. What got you here will not take you there. I don't know what this means for you, but when I say this, what I mean is what got you here till this position, till this point in your life, whatever age you are, from 19, 20, 21, 20, 23, 24, whatever you are, what got you here till this position, it's not going to be enough for the role you're about to take. In order to get there, in order to fulfill your vision, in order to do everything you want to achieve for your entity, you need to assume a different identity as an MC president. In order to do that, so you need to let go of your inhibitions, as simple as that. Accept without arrogance, to let go with indifference. This is another one of my favorite quotes from Marcus Aurelius. It's from the Stoics. If not read the Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. If you're following Stoicism, I know some of you have. So accept what has gotten you here so far. This is what we talk about when we talk about what the present. Acknowledge where you come from, acknowledge what this journey has shown you so far, and accept that without arrogance. Don't let your past experience turn it into an arrogance. Okay, now I have experienced 5 years in this organization. Now I'm a president. Everybody should listen to me, blah blah. Don't let the identity turn into your ego, right? And let go with indifference. The things which stop you from unleashing your best self, how to let go of those things with indifference. This shouldn't affect you positively, shouldn't affect you negatively. So the one simple thing I'm gonna ask you to do is like this letting go of without indifference. Why this is important? Because there will be a lot of term in your MCP term which you will be able to control and which you won't be able to control at all. But one thing I can say for sure is you can control is who you are and what you do. Basically, what defines you. What is your identity as MCP? What defines you is something completely in your hand. So in order to do that, you need to be able to let go of the inhibitions which stop you from being at your best with indifference and without arrogance. So simply the next thing I'm going to ask you to do is burn away what does not help. As simple as that. Make room for your best self. I don't know where you have taken your notes, but there are some questions, there are some answers which are extremely painful, extremely difficult for you to write or reach those areas in your life where you put those down. Things like what I haven't forgiven myself for, or what all the flaws I see in myself. If you've written it on a piece of paper, I would suggest you to just store it down, like turn it down, flush it on the toilet, burn it, whatever you have. Like if you want to keep memories, and take a picture and save it somewhere which you will never open. Okay, but like seriously, like, go and do that. Burn away what does not help you, because the first thing which I said, right, what got you here will not take you there. Trust me with this. So yeah, I'm gonna give you like, I don't know, 45 seconds to just store it down, flush it down the toilet, burn it. I don't know. I don't mean to sound very dramatic, but that physical act of doing so unconsciously makes a room for your best self. Like then you will treat it as a new beginning. Make room for what's about to come. So yeah, I don't know. You want a song for this? I'll give you 30 seconds. What doesn't help, just store it away. You want to keep badges of honors and memories, just take a picture and save it somewhere which you will never receive. I will silently give you 30 seconds to do this. You can entrust your buddy to keep the secret with you. All right. Wow, the silence in the room. It also says a lot. Okay. Yeah. The next part, moving on, after you've let go of yourself, coming towards the end of the session, discovering what is the best self. Okay, now you've let go of your inhibitions, but how do you figure out, how do you discover what is my best self? How do I find it? Where do I start? What is the first step do I take? That is the last thing I promised you in the session. Right? So here's the answer. I don't have the answer. I cannot answer this for you. The idea is you have to discover it yourself. This is your journey, very unique to you. it's going to be different than your predecessor's journey. It's going to be different than your successor's journey. It's going to be different than all of the people you know in the world, than their journey. All the people in this room, their journey. What you need to have is the will to discover it yourself. And the best tool for the discovery you have is a question. This self-reflection activity, this asking questions activity, put it in your routine. Put it on your every 15 day or a PDP routine for doing self-reflection, reading a book, talking to your coach. That's why we have your monthly one-to-ones. Put it somewhere to ask these questions for yourself and discover how far have you come. What are the things you need to let go? What are the inhibitions which are stopping you from being the best version of yourself? Let go of those inhibitions and discover what does it mean for you now to be at the best version of yourself. Let me give you an example. So this is just a one question. This is just one simple, looks simple, but very difficult to answer. Like I'll just give you one quick song to answer this for yourself. Okay, this is just one type of question. And then we'll do another exercise and that's the end of the session. What do I really want for yourself and for your entity? And this is with a thumbprint. This is basically, this is going to be unique for you. This is not going to be everybody else's answers. I'll give you one song and then let's see. We can have a couple of shares.
This is an ambition I've always had, that Ice Cream Pakistan should be like a big deal in the global friendly. Like ever since I've been a member, this is one of the ambitions I've had. So I really want to do that. I leave an Ice Cream Pakistan after my MCP term that people can be really proud of, and every member feels super happy to be a part of this entity, you know, and they feel like that they're like, you know, big shots being an Ice Cream Pakistan. So that's like something I really want to do.
Thank you, Ali, for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the like simplest but powerful questions I discovered. I'm going to tell you how I did it with this with myself. Is like I asked, like the next part is like what's next. So I asked the same question for the kind of values I wanted to have in my entity. So so I asked this question. Okay, what are my personal values? I think all of you must have, like in the MCP transition framework, all of you must have gone through this. The value assessment, there are different assessments which you do. There is one in the MCP journal as well. You should complete it. Ask myself this question: what are my values? And on the lines, ask these two questions: what does this value mean for me, and what does this value mean for my entity? So let me give you an example. So these are the 6 values it started with: okay, courage, confidence, challenge, connection, clarity, and commitment. Okay, and asking yourself these simple questions, okay, putting yourself in a bit of a structure for those values may lead you to have more clarity on what exactly you want for yourself. Like say, for example, I'll give an example: courage. So the description for me of courage was like, let your fears make you stronger by facing them. And then asking the same questions, like how does courage look like in you, and how does it look like in your entity? Because as an MCP, the identity you assume becomes the identity of the entity. Like that is like a transverse effect which happens. Like people must have told you, right? Even your MCP current must have told you, like your entity is a reflection of you and your values, what you do. So for example, if you're good in finance, your entity will automatically become good in finance. If you're good in operations, say your entity will gravitate naturally towards being much more better in operations. So why not do it consciously and put it in a structure? If your value is, say, confidence, like, and then you want to guide yourself from the strongest place inside, you want to play with your strength, one of our lead values, then ask yourself, what does confidence look like in me? And how does it look like in my entity? Or say, for example, do this for all the values. Challenge, going that extra mile and getting better, always asking, how can I get better? What does challenging yourself means in you, and what does challenge look like in your entity? Things like this. Asking the same question for each of your values, like for connection, how can you be vulnerable? And like what Eli just shared, right? He wants to support people more personally. So connection is one of his values. And ask yourself the same question, like what does connection look in you, And how does connection look like in your entity? And answering these questions will get you closer to having clarity on how do you want to unlock your creative genius and how do you want to be, what sort of an identity you want to form as an MCP. This is for the comment. I think Elva mentioned she's very clear, but then she's very committed to have like no matter what she will do it and she'll make it happen. That's sort of a commitment, like that's what it means for you. So what does it mean for you? What does it mean for your entity? So do this exercise. Maybe I can give you like a quick 2 minutes to do this. Like pick up one of your personal value. Like for me, it was ownership. What does ownership mean to you? And answer yourself these 2 questions. How does ownership look like in you? And how does it look like in your entity? So it can be anything for you. Replace the X with your own personal value, which you want to be the key identity or the key leading value in your term. So I'm going to give you another quick 2 minutes for this, and then we'll have like a final sharing for closing. Let me put an example. Identification also of values, behaviors, and all those things. So this is like one activity which defines your behavior and defines the kind of identity you want to assume as your MCP. So this particular activity, just want to give it just. Does anyone want to share what was this for them? One person?
Yeah, I'll share Priya.
Go ahead.
This is clarity, right? Okay.
Or any value, yeah, you are.
Oh, any value. All right, let me think. My one of my key values is adventure. I love the idea of going out there, not knowing what's there, but going ahead anyway, just to see what's up. And to me, that looks like a very open mind in regards to all sorts of things, going out there and being intentional with something that you haven't seen before or done before, just to see what's happening, a spirit of experimentation. In the entity, I'd like to see that similarly in operations, right? There's no reason, there's no evidence to say we found the best way of doing anything, even when exchange was around. And so having the courage and the self-assurance to try something, just to see what would happen, I think that would be something that would help a lot right now too, when we got to find out what the emergent kind of practices are. And that's it for me.
Thank you for sharing, Michael. Like I relate to that a lot. One of my things was also like experimentation, being innovative. Actually, my name Prayog actually means experimentation. So I did that a lot in my entity name. Snake can tell you more about that. But yeah, like asking this question, like what does it mean to you and what does it mean in your entity? That is extremely important. So yeah, I'm not going to ask you to share it with everybody, but at the end, putting it all together, like asking these 3 questions, like this was the space. This is what I wanted to put in touch with. These are the questions I wanted to ask you. This is the reflection I wanted to take you through in this space. I hope this space gave you something, a bit more clarity about how to form your identity and what are the inhibitions and where to go. Just to recap, the things we did is first we acknowledged how we got here. Part 1, you went through the river flow diagram. Part 2, you understood what are the inhibitions, what are the flaws you see in yourself as an icicle as a human being. Third thing, letting go of those flaws because you want to make a room for something else, something bigger, something beautiful. Last thing, to find out your best self is asking powerful questions to yourself. And then one last activity, through values, how can you take the first step towards finding that best self? What does it mean for you? So yeah, this is like one final thing I want to ask like 1 or 2 people finally share is that how the space has changed you, what shifted within you through this space, and what are you going to do about it? I'll just take some open plenary sharing, not a buddy sharing. What's happening? Yeah. Just final plenary sharing. How this space how the space has shifted you, what changed in you, what are you taking back from this piece? Anyone want to share? Okay, stop focusing on the picture. Share. I'll send you the picture. Let me put a couple of people on the spot, which we haven't heard from. Smith, I want to hear from you. And then I want to hear from, okay, Smith, go first.
Okay. Okay. So I was about to raise my hand actually. All right. So actually, like I think this space is very like giving me a lot of like big self-reflection, because that's quite long already that I haven't like had this space, because like most of the time we focusing on like doing our own job and stuff. And it's something that that's not just only myself, but at the same time I can hearing from other people, hearing from their stories. Somehow we can find the similarity of being like an Isaac and stuff. So that's something that having me along the way and seeing what's happening, and how can I throw it back, like starting the kickstart my own journey with the positivity and so on. Yeah. So that's very amazing for this session as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Smith, for sharing that. I like the idea that we took that positivity from the session. Then I'm going to ask Lermin, I want to hear from you.
Okay. Hello. I think for me, this session is kind of to revisit my core as well, because I think I have been not doing it for quite a long time from my MCP applications until now. Like about who am I, my strength, my weakness, and also what is the fear in me. Because I think throughout the reflections as well, I think it also kind of remind me that a lot of the thing is because the fear that I have in myself. That's why I didn't take the actions. That's why I didn't dare to act and let go. Yeah, I think that is how these sessions make me to realize, and what I get from this session as well.
Thank you for sharing that. I know you have a lot more sharing inside you. You can feel free to put it on your MCP journal. Make sure whatever notes you could take a picture, put it there in your own version, share it on the social media. And yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you so much for the space, people. So now you have 30 minutes break. We have 5 minutes delay, 7 actually. But we're going to start in 30 minutes. So come back at 1:20 GMT plus 8. Okay. And we're going to start exactly. So technically 1:20 is 27 minutes of break, and then you have a space with Isuru for regional identification. Make sure you take rest, grab snacks, and put it in the feedback form after the session. Just a reminder. Thank you everyone for this space. Nice talking to you. See you in the next space. Bye.
Bye bye.